I think the important thing to understand here is Starfield is not No Man's Sky, and it is not Elite Dangerous. Thank you, Primordial Platimus. Thank you for the cheer. Gopher in space. It is not a space combat simulator. It's not a space trader simulator, even though there are elements of that in the game. And I suspect, I mean, I'm probably going to meet some factions that want to do smuggling, and there'll be space smuggling. But it's an RPG primarily. It's not, you know, super complicated like Elite Dangerous. It's not massively open the way No Man's Sky is. You cannot fly between planets, for example. I did not try running around the globe, but honestly, I'm not sure why I would want to. What I can tell you is you will land... By the way, I can't actually play the game from where I'm up to. I'm not allowed to play halfway through the game. If on the stream embargo ending now, we're allowed to play from the very start of the game, so I could start again, but I cannot play from where I am. I cannot show you where I am at the moment because of the embargo. The embargo is technically lifted, but within certain boundaries. So... basically, you know, every time I landed on a planet, you would be there usually for a reason. You're there to hunt something, find something, or maybe even just try and find some bloody iron and aluminium, because that's what you really need right now. And off in the distance, and it's not even that far, you'll see an outpost or an abandoned mine, and you might just run off towards it. But usually what happens is you'll do one of those and then just go back to your ship because you've got too much stuff, and you'll go somewhere else. I guess some people will possibly just try to scour the planet's surface and get everything that there is to get there, but I suspect you could be there for 20 hours. I mean, I don't know if you... I mean, someone's telling me there are invisible walls, there are things that prevent you.
Welcome, minion.
It's probably something to do with preventing you getting too far away from your ship, maybe? Because you can land, from what I've seen, most places on the planet. So probably what you have to do is go back to your ship, fly up, land somewhere else, etc. That's what I'm going to guess. Are those random mines and bases as fun as the dungeons in Skyrim? They're about the same. The difference is I think some of them, I think most of them are probably Radiant. I honestly don't think I'll be engaging too much with the random tat. Sort of, I think this is the sort of game where you could probably play for 200 hours just following quests or, you know, jobs, activities. I don't think you'll ever feel the need to try and min-max every planet. Someone's going to, though. Obviously someone's going to. But it's not Skyrim, though. It is... There is definitely going to be less of a feeling of being connected to the world. In Skyrim, if you are the sort of person like I am, you don't fast travel, you end up knowing the world sort of inside out. You get a real feel for the roads. You connect in a very deep way to the world. In Starfield, this is not going to be the case. It's just not. You've got 1,000 worlds. They're spread far apart from each other, and you need to fast travel between them. It's way more like, say, Mass Effect or The Outer Worlds. Way more like those games. Those are the best comparisons. The difference being, once you land on the world, you have a huge amount more space within which to travel, to explore. So, you're one of the people that never fast travel. Do you wonder if this game is for you? You will fast travel in this, because I mean, I say you will fast travel. The very minimum, you will use your ship to travel around, and that is akin to using, say, a carriage in Skyrim. But it is not like taking the vertibird in Fallout 4. It's more like teleporting in Fallout 4. So yeah, it's a So would you say Outer World's just bigger? Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's probably a good comparison in many ways. It's Outer Worlds, but bigger, less restrictive, and orders of magnitude bigger. I'll tell you what I did do. I was in New Atlantis, and I just hopped over one of the walls with my boost pack, dropped into some water. I didn't mention something I should probably have mentioned in the video. You can't swim underwater. You can't dive underwater. When I first discovered this, I thought I was walking on a glass surface covered in a thin layer of water. I thought it was a fake lake. But actually, I jumped out of the city and landed in a lake. You can't dive. It's kind of like Hogwarts Legacy or that type of game. You can't dive underwater. So it's not Skyrim in that respect. It is bizarre. That one, I should have mentioned that, actually. That's one of those things that I probably should have mentioned, but I only really discovered later on when I was preparing the footage and stuff for the script I'd already recorded. I noticed that. So, you can dive in Skyrim, huh? Well, you can swim underwater in Skyrim, yeah. Have you not played Skyrim? It's not a big deal to not be able to swim. I'll be honest with you, it isn't, because I don't think there's going to be much down there. Although, I have to say, this means I know for a fact now we're not going to find any water planets, which is a shame. Because if you think about it, finding a water planet...
Welcome, minion.
Putting on your spacesuit and swimming down there, that would have been cool. Would have been cool. So, you know, there could be a lot underwater. Exactly. I mean, that's on the mod list now. Well, they'll have to come up with a swimming... The thing is there is a swimming animation. If you go third person, you'll see your character is swimming. But if you're in first person, you feel like you are walking. It's quite bizarre. Again, this is... I may do a follow-up video, or maybe I'll just post this Q&A. Could you swim in normal clothes? You could swim in a spacesuit. But then in Skyrim, you could swim in full Daedric armor. How many caves are there in this game? I found one cave. I mean, I've scanned loads from afar, but I actually went and visited one, and it was just a small cave. You wandered in, and there was actually some abandoned stuff there. I will tell you, if you go exploring off the beaten path, you're just going to find lots of abandoned stuff from old outposts, places where people stayed during a war or something. You're going to find tons of that. At a planetary level, the game is nowhere near as rich or deep as, say, Skyrim. I've not played No Man's Sky, but I feel like it's kind of like that when you're just wandering around a planet. The main quests, the stories, the people, the stuff you're going to want to see, they're in cities and outposts and space stations. But there are loads of cool ones as well. So I found a very interesting space station, a casino, and I'm not going to say anything more than that. And it wasn't interesting because much happened in it, but just the entire concept of it. There are loads of terminals for you to find and read and get, you know, it's your typical Bethesda thing. Have I encountered any weather phenomena? I've been in a variety of different weapons. I've seen a very sort of interesting storm on one planet, but I've really only scratched the surface on planetary travel. The big problem is 45 hours sounds like a lot of time to play this game. Probably 10 hours of it were me experimenting with the outpost system because I really wanted to just be able to at least comment on it. And I think it's more of an end game thing, so I think you'll probably just ignore the outpost system early on. Just keep in mind that whilst I am saying this is Skyrim in space, I do mean more the formula around general play. The Basically what I'm saying is, you've got a main quest, you probably want to do it on your first playthrough, but I can see already that you could just totally ignore it on your second playthrough, just the way you do in Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, even Fallout 3 if you want, yeah? Nothing seems locked, is kind of what I'm hinting at. You don't have to play the main quest, like, at least 3/4 through to unlock everything. At least I don't think so. That's the feeling I'm getting. So, you seem to have that freedom to just wander around. There's no voiced protagonist. The dialogue system is way more reminiscent of things like, you know, the Elder Scrolls series, Fallout 3, etc. Just overall, the vibe I'm getting is it's a space game, definitely a whole new IP, a whole new genre, but they have said to themselves, you know what, those things we tried in Fallout 4, some of them did not work. Let's go back to the way we did it before. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I have not visited enough cities to be able to tell you whether they're realistic. What I will say is New Atlantis is pretty big, but it is split into different zones. I don't know how connected they are, because I've not really found it very easy to wander around. Probably a complaint I should have also put in the video. I've got a load of little complaints that I would like to have put in the video, I guess, but the ground map in a city is really bad. Really borderline useless, actually. Trying to navigate around New Atlantis with the map was a pain in the backside. And you'll probably use... There's a transit system, like a train, and you'll use that to wander around from location to location. But I'm not totally sure you have to. I think you can wander around the whole thing. I don't think it blocks you. Because like I said, I was in the main spaceport district, and I just hopped over the wall and headed out of the city without getting any zoning or anything. So I suspect I could probably get from the main spaceport district to, say, the commercial district or the residential district without taking the train. I just have not managed to do it yet. It's not that big, it's just because the map sort of is non-existent or sucks at that level, I really didn't explore. I'll try again without spoilers. Is it good a game? Is it worth getting on release if you're skint? I would say yeah, but you know, I've not finished it. I'm having fun. You know, I mean, I've enjoyed the quests, the side quests. There was one side quest where I had to rescue some people, and I won't spoiler it too much, but there were a couple of, shall we say, opposing groups involved. And I loved the dialogue in that particular quest. I liked it. I loved the characters. So, how good is the vertical exploration? That side of things is pretty good. The vertical exploration is pretty good. You get a boost pack. I think you have to unlock boosting with a skill, though. I luckily started with it, so... But yeah, you can kind of platform very high up if you're willing to take the risk, especially on zero-G planets. In fact, I probably need to get more willing to just do that at times. So yeah. Many alien races. Not a single one so far. I know you're on PC, but how is the frame rate? Well, as I said in my video, pretty damn solid. I could almost, you know, it was, I would say an average of about 110. It would drop to, say, 80, and it could go up as high as 160 maybe, but it didn't fluctuate. So what I mean is, if I was getting 80 frames a second in a place, it would probably stay around 80 most of the time, and if I was getting 120, I would get 120 most of the time as I wandered around that place. It really depending on where you were and what the weather was. And that's a good sign, the fact that it wasn't spiking and stuttering. However, I will point out, 80 to 160 even on ultra settings, 1440p, on my rig is not impressive. It's okay. Because I've got a 1490.
Minion.
So I would basically say if you're on anything less than a 30 series, you're going to be wanting to drop the settings. In fact, if you're on a 30 series, you might be dropping it from ultra. I don't know. You might be turning certain settings down. How that was? I did check the lower settings. It wasn't a good looking game at low. What I would probably recommend is just turning off and tweaking certain settings. Start at ultra and then just drop things like shadows and stuff like that. I managed to drop shadows from, I think it was ultra to medium, and I immediately gained like 10 or 15 frames a second, which was not bad. Shadows are pretty good in this game for Bethesda Game Studios. 4090 with FSR. Yeah, FSR, not impressed. I'm guessing once the DLSS patch comes out, if you're on a card that can use it, you are going to be very happy. Can I run Ultra with a 3080? I do not know, but I would imagine you can. Whether you will get 60 frames a second everywhere, I am not 1000% sure. I think you might end up dropping a couple of settings to guarantee it, or maybe running FSR a little more aggressive. This is the sort of thing I think you're probably going to have to go and watch a proper tech review YouTuber. Someone like Joker, who's probably going to have benchmarks on various different things. Does the game lend itself to cloud gaming, do you reckon? I don't know, but I think so. I'm actually having difficulty finding the save games. Do I think I'll be able to do multiple different character types for Let's Plays in Starfield? Yes! I'm sort of playing generic soldier wannabe explorer for my first playthrough, because a lot of the backgrounds, when I read them, I was thinking, I don't know any of these worlds. I mean, there was an explorer background, and I'm like, I can't have the explorer background because this background says I've been exploring the worlds and I don't know anything about them. So what am I, an explorer with amnesia? So I picked like a military background and then, but like wannabe an explorer. But you could play as a smuggler. There's a contraband system which I have not touched because I do not have the skills, and I'm sort of at the stage where I'm still wandering around with the head of Constellation. Probably don't want to start doing too many illegal things. I mean, she was disapproving of me when I agreed to help someone get some stuff from a storage. You know, did I take the parents' perk? No. Yeah, I mean, definitely multiple playthroughs. I want to do a smuggler playthrough, like join one of the shady factions and just, you know, forget the main quest. I just want to make money. Right, I want to really experience the smuggling system. I was planning on a space pirate playthrough, but until there's joystick support, not happening. Not happening. Do I think they will support mods as well as Skyrim? Yes. Do I think the modding community will be as big as Skyrim? That is hard to say at this stage. There's definitely a lot of modding potential. There's definitely a lot of modding potential. There are rumors you might be able to toggle the XP pop-up in settings. Allow me to show you the settings. Okay. Syncing. Interface. Crosshair. Show floating markers. That's your giant switch off brain dot on the floating thing. Damage numbers. Show item information on HUD. This is where when you look at things, it shows you extra information rather than just what it is. I quite like this. And that's it. The heads-up display needs work. It needs work. The heads-up display needs work. Gameplay options, pretty limited. Very, very Bethesda. Display options, quite a lot. I could not figure out how to get full screen. Only borderless full screen. Windowed. I need to play around with this a little more, but I found that a little weird. As you can see, mostly ultra. What did I change? Motion blur off. It comes on by default because I don't know why. I don't VSync. Oh, I need right now. I'm forcing VSync via my NVIDIA for reasons of recording. So I might as well put that on anyway. Film grain. There's a lot of film grain by default. Wasn't a fan. Switched it off. I know people think it makes it look cinematic and gritty, and you know, I'm just not a fan. Like I said, the interface really not good. Not good. Are they too intrusive? What, the heads-up display? Very. Controls. Right. You can invert Y. You can invert flight Y. You can invert menu camera. Y. Oh god, is that menu camera Y? What is the menu camera? It's not inverted the menu, which I would never want to do anyway. Flight stick swap. This seems to be for controllers, I think. Role dominant. This is whether your primary stick should roll or yaw. I'm guessing it should roll. Yeah, I'm guessing it should roll. You got a lot of one of the things that I didn't realize when I first started playing is right, controller look sensitivity, aim look sensitivity. There is I think there's a flight ship reticle sensitivity. This is worth dropping. I didn't drop this initially. My life got a little easier when I did this. A fellow inverted Y. Well, I'm old. Of course I invert Y. I'm old. Besides, is there anybody who doesn't invert Y for flying? I mean, I would have once upon a time said there is nobody in the universe who would dream of doing that. But I've since found that we all do live in a bubble, and apparently my bubble is way smaller than I thought. Yeah, the top option. Yeah, definitely. The bindings. I've not really changed anything, so I can't give you a key rebind rant. I'm sorry, I've been using the Wooting keyboard. I can't give you a key rebind rant. I feel like I'm letting the side down there. And my apologies to everyone who's, you know, not using a US layout QWERTY keyboard, especially the French, etc. And even the Germans. I can think of a few others maybe. I really feel like I should actually plug in my old Thrustmaster and just see how how well it works for a little while. But like, I want to play it. I have no idea why you'd even want to invert Y very, very old. Well, that's why, because I'm very, very old. Sally. I've been gaming since what you call invert Y was considered normal. When you guys decided to play what is inverted to me, I just didn't change. I remember a game that came with that control setup, and it weirded the lot of us out. It weirded us out. You're very old, older than you. Then you must remember the early first-person games where invert Y was the default. In fact, I think some of them it was the only option. But then when they started releasing games where they had what you now consider normal, we had to actually use hardware, third-party programs to invert, because it was weird. We were like, why have they done this? Have they made a mistake? I believe that the non-inverted became dominant purely and simply because Windows took over from DOS, and most people, for some reason, now associate mouse forward with up. Well, I say for some reason, because they've internalized the idea that mouse forward is up, and even though, you know, that's completely different on like a screen like this. I mean, because I don't know if you know this, when I invert Y, when I move my mouse up now, the cursor goes up. Invert Y does not invert how the cursor works. It only inverts looking to a more traditional setup. I say traditional, an older setup. But as far as I know, flight sim enthusiasts predominantly use invert Y because they use joystick. So invert makes no sense. Invert, right, okay, people have got to stop saying that. I need to make a video about it. People need to stop saying something doesn't make sense. It's... Here's the thing. Making sense is what you do of the world. The world does not make sense. Alright? The world does not need to make sense to work. You need to make sense of how the world works. Making sense is something that happens in your head. And so the control system you use, originally when you start, you probably have some reason for using it. So for example, every game had what you call invert Y back in the day. And thus I learned to play with inverted Y. That's why it makes sense to me. That's why it feels right to me. You started playing games where that wasn't true. You move the mouse forward and it looks up. Therefore it makes sense to you in that. And what is actually happening there is you've just learned how the control system works, and then when you found out that other people do it differently, you've tried to make sense of it in your own head. You've tried to come up with reasons why you do what you do and why that's the one that makes sense. When the actual truth is, the reason you use the control system that you do is because that's just how you started and now it feels natural. You don't think about your control system. It's all instinct and muscle memory. It's all instinct and muscle memory. So there is no make sense. There's just what works, what is instinctive. And the big problem with the invert Y is it started out as invert Y being default, and then at some point, probably after Windows appeared, it changed. But there was a whole bunch of people, already hardcore gamers, for which that, air quotes, made no sense. I mean, here's the thing. When that started to happen, and I started to notice games defaulting to what you now think of as normal, and they had the option to invert, I was very confused. I was scratching my head going, why would anyone not select invert Y? It makes no sense. That's the normal way to play. That's the best way to play. Because I hadn't really thought about it back then. I didn't really think about it. So the entire idea that there was an option was weird, but the fact that invert Y wasn't default was even weirder. It just made no sense. But like I said, the world does not require making sense to work. The world works the way it works. We make sense of it. So yeah. Any complaints, feedback on keybinds? No, unfortunately I've not tried it. I've been playing with my wooting. My main complaint, control-wise, is they disable the keyboard and mouse when you use the controller, and vice versa. So I cannot use a controller for movement and mouse for look. I hate that. Games need to stop doing that. Obviously this is something that will probably get a mod eventually, but I think it will require something like a script extender. If we get one. It's all whether or not you want to pull the back of your character's head or push their nose around. Cindy's crazy. No, it's not. That is one way of making sense of the system that you use. You think of it that way. Another way of making sense of it is it's where your eyes are looking. This is what the non-invert crowd would say. The non-invert crowd would say, well, when I push the mouse up, I look up. Ignoring the fact that they don't actually push the mouse up, but they now mentally associate move forward with up. And it's... it's, you know, it's just, you try to make sense of it. And so there's all sorts of analogies as to why invert Y is better and why non-invert Y is better. But the simple truth is, they're both wrong. It's what you're wired to play. It's habit and muscle memory, and that's it. Any attempt to make it sound more objective is just people trying their best to justify personal preference. And I see this a lot in not just gaming, in all walks of life. People really do seem to feel the need to try and frame their personal preference as objectively correct rather than just personal preference. You know. So, 3D mice when? Just came from the YouTube vid. I wish they would add those things you mentioned in the game. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I would want to add. That's just like your opinion, man. Yeah, yeah. It's my personal opinion that personal opinions are common. Audio options, what you'd expect. Accessibility, yeah, I mean, there you go. Options are solid. Wouldn't it be more closely tied to the mechanical linkages of flying? Okay, now if we're talking about joystick, the original... See, this is an entire video going on here. Right. It is perfectly reasonable to point out that the original planes, when using a joystick, had a certain mechanical imperative to use the joystick or the stick, or I don't think they called it a joystick back then, in a certain way. This was because of the way the mechanics work. You were using cables to pull on certain things. So, you know, you would pull the stick back and it would change the... What do they call them? The flaps. They've actually got better names. Ailerons or something? Right? And I think it was... You press pedals and it would adjust the rudder or something like that. And it was all mechanical. And thus there was a... It made sense to do things a certain way because they were interfacing with a machine that needed to behave in a certain way so that it interfaced with the air. This all made sense to the way you thought, but in actual fact, it didn't even need to make sense to you to work. I mean, for example, do most of you understand Bernoulli's effect? Probably not. And yet you get in a plane and accept that it can fly. Many of you probably look at it and think, that makes no bloody sense. I mean, look at it. It's got wings, but they don't flap, and it just... I mean, why doesn't it crash? It's a big chunk of bloody metal, right? It doesn't make sense that it's flying, right? This is why we have science. Now, if you do understand the fluid mechanics, if you do understand the physics behind it, it makes sense, if you get what I'm saying. So, because you've managed to explain it and you've managed to understand it. So, thing is, yes, at some point, the makers of flight sims mimicked flight controls for their games. And this makes sense in that, obviously, if you are a pilot or you have any flying experience, you will be able to sit down and start playing the game. But also, human beings have sort of refined the plane flying mechanics to the point where it actually works. We know it works. So at least if you're mimicking something you know works, then you're on solid ground, right? But in actual fact, for modern planes, I wonder if there are any mechanical limitations. Do you even need a joystick to fly a modern plane? Could modern planes be flown by button presses alone? I mean, when you see a lot of like things like Star Trek, they don't fly with stick and rudder because, you know, they're not pulling bloody cables back, are they? Right? So, from a mechanical point of view, especially in a game like this, would it make sense? Well, possibly not. However, it might still be a very good mechanical interface with human beings, the joystick, because it gives them a feel. Whereas keyboard and mouse doesn't. I can tell you that now. Keyboard and mouse does not give you a feel for flying the way a joystick does. It does not give you the same level of control. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that it just doesn't center. Now, you get a bit more of this with thumbsticks, but they're just not as good. Little thumbsticks controlled with your thumb as a big joystick controlled with your arm. A lot of it comes down to physical limitations or mechanics of the human body. What then suddenly makes sense. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's arguments even amongst the flight sim people. For example, should you the joystick left and right, should that control yaw or roll? Now, most people I think go roll, but I'm saying that because that's the one that, and I'm going to use the word again, makes sense to me. But I do know there are people who think yaw should be on the left right joystick. Now, I can justify why it should be roll very simply using mechanical diagrams and physics and discuss rotational axes. Because when I use a joystick, I have everything set up so that the joystick moves in its rotational axes in the exact same way as the ship. So I make sense, right? Oh, yeah, because it works for me. But somebody who is very, very used to having yaw on the left-right, they're going to find ways to make sense of it. I guarantee they'll have come up with some model in their head and go, well, no, if you think about it as being not on air, when you did... For example, here's a good one. Now, if you don't know what yaw means, let me try and... Imagine I'm flying a ship now. Roll would be where the ship rolls around the circle, right? So it would tilt. Yaw would be where the ship literally turns almost on a straight line looking. When you play first-person shooter games, when you move your mouse to the left, you look to the left. That would be considered a yaw if you were a plane. Yeah? If you play a game where you can lean, if there's a lean button, if you leaned to the left and rotated slightly down, that would be a roll. Yeah? So some people will say, well, when I'm playing flight sims and I'm using a mouse, I want the left movement to be yaw because that's similar to first-person shooter. And you know what? That's a good argument. If that's what you're used to, if you're used to moving your mouse to the left, translating the mouse to the left, and it yawing, rotating around the Z-axis, then so be it. I find that a little weird because as soon as I fly in anything, even if I'm using a mouse, I sort of feel like I've got a flight stick. So when I move to the left, I feel like I want to roll to the left, which is rotation around the X-axis. I am probably making no sense. I need diagrams for this. Am I going to play? No. This is a Q&A stream. I cannot play. Well, to play, I'd have to start a new game, and I don't want to start a new game. You can't effectively yaw after a certain airspeed, though. I don't know, but this is space, so it doesn't really matter too much. Do we get usable ladders? Oh my god, I'm sleep deprived. But I think so. I don't know. I actually don't know. I've played for 45 hours and I don't know if I've climbed a ladder. And the part of the reason is I've got a boost pack and you can vault. So you can jump up, grab ledges and pull yourself up. It's not a brilliant system, it's very basic, but it works. But I've got a boost pack. God, can you believe I can't answer that question. I cannot answer the question. Is the game good? I'm enjoying it. Yeah. Do we get more than 4 light sources? I've not noticed any janky lighting, so I think so. The lighting looks pretty good. I think they've been paying attention to that. So yeah, I think the lighting is pretty good. Do I think the planets are empty? How does the procedural generating work? The planets are pretty empty, yes. The general planets, if you land on a planet, you'll normally have something to do, you'll head off, you will go and do it, you'll play it, but there'll be a bunch of other things out there. And I say empty. Okay, that's not true. I'm wondering if I can just get really early on. I'm just wondering if I can get really, really early on. where I won't be breaking the embargo rules. Is it empty like New Vegas or empty like Daggerfall? I'd say more like Daggerfall, but I get what you mean with New Vegas as well. Don't take risks. No, I think this is... Let me just... Level 1. I'm level 1, so this is really stupidly early, right? This is stupidly early. And I'm on... And this is the starter planet. I'm safe doing this. They don't want you playing... On the embargo day, when it lifted today, they don't want... They said, please do new games, right? They don't want you basically showing people more than this, right? So, alright, let's... You know what? Right, let's... So...
According to the scanners,
oh, I've not V-synced. I forgot to V-sync. When I did my testing, guys, for the performance, I turned it off in the NVIDIA. So you might get micro stutters. Guys, you might get micro stutters on the stream. Please don't take that as a sign of the game. The game is giving me 134 frames a second at the moment. 60 FPS cap or unlocked frame rate. Oh god, no, it's not capped frame rate. I'm currently running 136. I tell you what, just to make this feel less unpleasant for you, why don't I put that on and then we feel like we're benchmarking, right? There you go. Just so you know, you're going to see some screen tearing, you're going to see some stuttering, because if you ever see a stream and it's not streaming at exact multiples of the frame rate, you will get micro stutters. In fact, I think I'm getting micro stutters. I'm not totally sure this is G-syncing well. Gotta be honest. Oh, I don't have a boost pack yet. I don't have a boost pack at this point. Huh! I don't have a boost pack at this point, do I not? Or do I? No, I don't. My pack does not have a boost pack. Oh, I can't show you the boosting. Boosting's so much fun. Right. So, what was I going to say? Yeah. Basically, you'll notice there's a research lab down there. That's my actual ultimate goal. But, I'll tell you what, that's actually kind of annoying, isn't it? Let me turn that off. If you wander around a little bit and start looking, there's something down there. Now, I can't zoom at the moment. To get levels of zoom, you need to get character skill improvements. Once you get a good scanning ability, you can zoom quite far. But I can scan that object and it will tell me that it's a structure, which I can probably see. There's another one over there, and it's a structure. And you can just leg it off. I'll tell you what, let's... This is the starting area, so I'm safe. Mining. Why am I doing... What the... Why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? I'm not playing. So, there's another structure. There's another... So you can see the place is not actually empty. There's a ton going on. The other thing I will say is, you know, let's face it, Bethesda games are traditionally pretty bad on distant terrain. I think I saw some popping in there, but not much. It's quite unobtrusive as a general rule. I'm not saying it's not going to be there, but I found that I was not constantly looking at the distant terrain going, what the hell? Who was that? Blue Daedric Dragon, thank you for the resub. 3x Spence, thank you for the resub. Toros, thank you for the resub. Nails, I think I've already thanked you, but thank you again. Another unknown, 1,000 meters. Now, here's the map. Not a fan. Not a fan of the map. Don't know how far it goes. There is a limit to it. There is a limit to it. Alright, I tell you what. Let's see how far we can get without stopping to do stuff. I run around on one planet and I managed to run around for 10 minutes without hitting a wall, but there is a possibility that what I did was I ran around in circles because I kept going, ooh look! Ooh look! Ooh look! I was just running around and then I got this feeling that I should bugger off. What I feel like you're going to do, though, is you're not going to do this. You might investigate a few of these places, but you will probably then head back to your ship and move. the ship so that you're not too far from it. Do you feel it's recycled locations? The thing is I suspect if you just do this, if you run around in random... Oh, I don't want to die. Not now. If you run around random locations like this and start looking for things to investigate, I suspect you will find lots of recycling. In that, it's a mining facility, yeah? But I can't tell you for sure because I've not done that. I've been generally following quests or activities, of which there are loads. Lighting's pretty good though, isn't it? Shadows. Massive improvement. Look how slowly they move instead of like jump, 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 jump. I mean, I know. Low bar. I get it. Low bar. Alright, this is probably further than I've ever just wandered away from the ship because normally... Well, normally I would be going over there and then another one and then another one, so... Okay. I feel like there's something over there. I feel like there's definitely something over there. Is there something tethering you to the ship? No, but someone has said there might be invisible walls. I know. Woo. But what I am seeing is there's a natural formation over there, and there's another building, isn't there? Alright, let's have a look at the map now. Where's my ship? My ship is there, so I'm still heading away. Alright. I mean... There possibly is a limit to how far I can run. But like I said, I suspect it's also way beyond the limit of my patience for just randomly scouring places to search for outposts and mines. But if you're gonna survey the planet... Hey, we had some jank! Live stream jankiness! Unless they have really, really fast running, which is a possibility. Woo. Don't want to mess with those. And you have to watch out for environmental effects. Okay. Is it possible to turn the heads-up display off? No. Right, one of the things you can do... let me find... Right. One of the things you can do is you can turn off... item information in heads-up display. But that doesn't stop you from seeing things like that. It basically means you don't see as much information when you find something. If you look at a digipic, it doesn't give you all the details. But the details are actually reasonably useful. So that's what I leave on. I've taken everything else off. I don't like the floating marker. This is the thing that says... Oh, it's all the way over there. So the thing that says, this is where you need to go. Stop thinking and just start following the blue dot. But I don't like that. I played with it for a little while because I wanted to make sure I wasn't, you know, giving the game an unfair attempt. But yeah, the weapon stays there even if you don't need it. The watch information, that thing in the bottom left is your watch. It shows your oxygen, it shows the CO2, it's a compass. It shows you where your enemies are, and it definitely needs to go. By the way, the music by Ion Zur. Okay, I've turned it down. I'm going to turn it up a little bit, right? Is there anyone else gets a Jedi Fallen Order vibe from it? Because I do. Or is that just because I'm in space? So you can see enemies. It's like a cross between Jedi and Fallen. Yeah, no, now that is not a bad description, actually. What did I have that set on? 35, was it? To remember. It starts off at 70%. What I will tell you is when you start this game, my advice, first thing you do, turn the music down to about 35%. And boost the... I saw that. Boost the volume of the voices. I'm thinking of boosting them even a little bit more soon, maybe 5% more. The default settings for audio was weird. There's an initial conversation where you meet someone quite important, and I can barely hear a word they're saying over the bloody epic music that's playing. So, probably should have mentioned that in the video. There's a ton of things I should have mentioned in the video. And again, I am very sorry about any stutters or tearing you see. It's just we've got unconstrained frame rate. As you can see, currently we are 141 frames a second, which is not a good recording frame rate. I should be locking it to 120. You know, it's nice that I can lock it here, but I can't keep it at 120 all the time. I mean, honestly, the distant terrain I've got no complaints about, but it could just be because they... I'll tell you what, let's play around. Let's play around. Since I'm not going to be playing the actual game, let's change some settings on depth of field. That usually... Has it turned it off in the distant? It's usually when you talk to people you get the depth of field, so if I talk to Vasco...
Captain, Protocol Indigo dictates that I am to...
Shut up. Right. I don't think it actually did that. So let's enable the depth of field again. You see, depth of field is usually for the conversations, I think. I don't think it affects the distant terrain. The distant terrain has a natural haze to it, but I feel like they've done a much better job. They sort of had to on a game like this, though, didn't they? Okay, well, again, we're... Does depth of field... I don't think so, no. No. So, as you can see, we've come reasonably far. Where is my ship? I say we've come... No, that's not my ship. Where the hell's my ship? Over there. We're about 1.5 kilometers away now. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's not that far, but... This is way further than I would normally just go wandering for the lols. And if I had a quest that was over here, I would have landed the ship nearer. So... Okay. Can you turn off the name tag note floaties? No. Another thing I should have mentioned in my video. That is one of the little... Thing is I didn't want to focus too much on the things that, let's face it, I'm famous for obsessing over. Because I think most people don't give a rat's behind. And I thought it would be just pretty obvious from the video footage that you can see a heads-up display the entire time. I mean, this is with everything that I can possibly turn off, turned off. So, yeah, that thing gets slightly annoying. It's too sensitive. The thing is, it's kind of nice with companions because you can talk to them quite far away. You don't see texture flickering. I know that'll be ruining a game. Yeah, I've not seen much in the way of, like, weird graphical things. Can you fly the ship across the surface of the planet? No. You cannot. Flying is purely in space, and if you don't use controller, your life is going to suck, and you will hate it. I think. Personally. The mouse controls are bloody horrible. They could be better, but they don't seem to have tried. But then from what I can see, most games with space travel don't even bother trying. Because they all support joystick. Except this one. Without a boost pack, this might actually be hard to Skyrim. it is. I'm so used to having a boost pack now that I can't quite deal with the fact that I don't have one. What is it, dragons? Need a horse. Yeah, I've not found any horses or vehicles so far. But again, you tend to just fly everywhere. This is more of an experiment. Oh, could this be the invisible wall people are talking about? I just saw a building up there. Am I not going to be able to get round the mountain range? Oh, that'll be interesting, won't it? That will be interesting. Let's see. How's the survival mechanic? There are none. The game has no survival mechanics whatsoever. Oh. Well. There is, like, you can bleed, you can get frostbite, you can get poisoned, radiation poisoning, you can get sprains, abrasions, all sorts of other things. So I suppose there is a survival element, but there's no, you don't need food, you don't need drink, and you don't need sleep. Yes, that is something I would like to see. Definitely. No, I got the feeling this is just a bloody mountain. This is not the proverbial invisible wall. Is it easy to find activities or random encounters in the game? Yes. Unless you're doing what I'm doing now, which is just running off on a planet's surface. We're doing this as a test. This is a test. This is something I've not done so far. Everything I've done so far is I've run around cities, I've run around outposts, mining towns and things like that. And there's loads of shops, loads of people to talk to. I say loads. There's people to talk to. And there's a lot of dialogue going on. Okay. Oh, also, I'm a total wimp at the moment. No, I'm miles away from the ship, aren't I? Where's... Ship is there. Is that... Right, I'm at the... Right, if there was going to be a wall, it's here, isn't it? If there's going to be a wall... Where's north? Ah, there it is. I was going to say, my compass wasn't showing. Oh, I missed boost. Is there a Creation Club menu? I haven't seen it. The planets aren't balls, they're sets of map cells, so no flying around. Yeah, that's what I'm being told. I'm going to find out for sure if it's true right now. We're gonna head over to that mountain range and see if it lets us over. But like I said, I don't see this as something many people will want to do, because honestly, this is not that interesting. This is where the game is just in a totally different genre to the Elder Scrolls, right? I mean, it is. I mean, look, the topography can be fascinating. But you're on a planet with very little life. Pete Hine said you can walk around. Well, he probably thought you could, because I possibly thought you could, because I walked further than I possibly would ever have wanted to, had I not had people going, let's see how far you can go. I probably would have done this at some point, wouldn't I? If I wasn't so focused on trying to experience all the different aspects of the game. Do you know what I really wanted to try and get to? I wanted to get to one of the other factions and join a faction, and I've just not. The only faction I've really had a chance to join is United Colonies, and I sort of didn't want to join them on my first playthrough. They felt a bit Starship Troopers. It's not that I don't like them, and it's not that I don't like all the people who are in it. It's just, you know, I think I wanted to go with the free whatever they were. So, so it's like that, I think. Are there no other factions than the main ones? Well, I don't know. There are 3 that we know of, and of course there's Constellation. But as I've said in the video, they don't seem to be connected to the main quest, or at least not like to the point where they were in Fallout 4. I feel like on my second playthrough, I'm going to go for the ones that do like smuggling and thing and join. Oh, it's the second time we've seen that little bit of glitchiness, isn't it? Ooh. There we go. Beginning to see the jank. I've probably seen slightly more jank than I realise. I know in the video there was a swimming animation for one of the companions who was sleeping. And I didn't notice it. Someone else saw it in the corner. That in of itself is probably a good sign. There's probably more jank than I realised, but the fact that it isn't front and centre and in your face is probably an improvement. But overall, I just feel like the game works. Oh, personally, you have no problem with the cells spawning around your ship, especially in a frontier planet. Maybe an established planet, it could have bigger cells, but it makes sense that the one settlement to the other is tens of hundreds clicks away. Yeah, no, I mean, I will be absolutely honest. I am agreeing with you on that. As much as you might say, oh no, I'm going to wander off there and explore and see what happens, that's just not what you would do, is it? You'd take the ship, you'd fly, you'd scan the nearby area, and in fact, I think as you get onto the later game, what you would probably do is put down a quick outpost, build a giant scanner improver, and then run around the near area surveying it, and then pick everything up and bugger off. It's a space game. It's not a fantasy game. So this is one of those things, again, I may make a follow-up video where I just try to cover a few things that maybe... You know, I said it's Skyrim in space, and maybe I'm giving people the wrong impression, because it's not the exact same as Skyrim. It's just... I feel like they're trying to follow the formula they have with the old Elder Scrolls games. Okay. Oh, I'm right there, but the map's scrolling further. I'm right. I am... Just at the limit. Right, that's where it is. That's where it is. It is 3 kilometers away from your ship. We found it. It is not Skyrim in space, almost half an hour and no ridiculous glitch. Well, we've had 2 glitches. Well, 1 glitch that happened twice. Fast-moving creature? Unless that's a superpower they have. Yeah, I know. Alright, so now we know there are invisible walls if you go far enough. I genuinely can't imagine the vast majority of people are going to want to do it. You see it, right? This is more a place for you to come and build an outpost because there's a resource out here. And you're going to fly your ship there. That is what you're going to do. So... yeah. It's... if you take your ship and land where you are now, can you explore 3 more clicks in that direction? I don't actually... right, now, here's what... There's a couple of things you should know here, right? What I've discovered is if you take off and land, you get a landing animation. If you open up the map and just click somewhere. Where were we? We were like north, weren't we? Yeah? We were somewhere north. If I... oh, it won't let me. It won't let me. It's not going to let me. I'm... Freestar Collective, that's it. I've not... that's the one I think I want to join, you see. I get the feeling I want to be an explorer. I want to be part of the Freestar Collective. But maybe, actually, the more I'm playing, the more I feel like United Colonies might suit me better. As ex-military, and again, I am meeting a lot of the United Colonies people that I like, so... I feel like I want to meet Freestar before I make that decision. So maybe because I'm doing a sort of military wannabe explorer, I'll go United Colonies, and then on a smuggler playthrough, I'll do whatever the other one is, and then maybe I'll do a... oh no, maybe smuggler Freestar Collective, and then pirate do the other one. I don't know. So yeah, does the game work with HOTAS? No. And the space combat is bloody horrible with mouse and keyboard. Have you seen planets with life? Oh, yeah. There are some planets that you land on. There are even moons that have got atmosphere and life and creatures. And if you make an outpost there, you want to make some defenses. There's definitely... Right, not all planets are as bare and barren as this one. Will it let me take off? Oh, it will! It's gonna let me take off! Vasco's gonna lose his mind! Potas. Oh god, what is it? Hands-on, throttle, and... stick. I believe it stands for. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying joystick and... throttle stick. Alright. So that's where he wants me. Let's just... Would you say the NPCs and characters are interesting? Yes! Yes. That's one of the things I think they've improved upon. I'm enjoying the conversations. There's more of them. I prefer the style of the conversations to the ones we had in Fallout 4. And... Okay. Did this... Alright, here we go. Somewhere totally... totally different. So I feel like this is how you're going to do it, right? Have the traits and background made a difference? Oh god, yes. One thing I will tell you is you can remove traits. I already removed one because it was doing my head in. I think I've accidentally removed another. And I do mean accidentally, and then when you watch my Let's Play, you'll figure out what I mean. But one of them I quite deliberately went in and removed because it was annoying the snot out of me. And if you're wondering which one, I'll give you the spoiler on that. It's the alien DNA. Sounded interesting. More infuriating than anything. Can we play dress up? There are outfits, but the outfits are dead simple. It's Fallout 3. Outfit, helmet. But on top of that, you've got a spacesuit. On top of the outfit you're wearing, you do have spacesuit, mining pack, and helmet as well. So you're gonna want those on the outsides. But your outfits are... There's a lot of variety in them. Some of them very, very weird. Okay. See, and this is just a bunch of enemies. This is your proverbial bandit camp, okay? So if you just want to go out and collect loot and experience, you can just wander around and find... I've not found a building looking like that. Weird and interesting looking buildings. You'll probably find people to fight, and those are your bandit. But that's how you do it, really. There's not... You're not going to be running around... You're not going to be slowly strolling the surface, you know, just taking in the sights. See, I've got my, I'm using my my Wooting keyboard to get analog. Oh god, it's... Wow, it's set oddly... Oh, it's because this game actually sprints quite a lot. But I can't use the mouse now if I want analog. I'm going to switch it back to digital so I can use the mouse again. Ooh. Are you using your 45-hour playthrough for your first... Yeah. I've recorded my entire 45 hours. Or, well, most of it. I didn't record all the outpost building. So... I don't play third person normally, so I'm... By the way... Third person when mining might be a good idea. Just, so you can see where your companions are. And if they decide to just run in front of you, you can, you know, stop. Don't ask how I know that's a good idea. So yeah, I think we've pretty much got this now, haven't we? I think we know. There are caves. There are caves. They're not usually instanced dungeons. They're normally interesting little places that you can pick up loot. Okay, there's a weird encounter over there. Please don't be a storied one, because I don't want to play any storied stuff. Those spaces? Oh yeah.
I believe the enemy is nearby.
I do too, but you know what? The enemy...
Alert. Enemy location
Yeah. But they're busy. Don't disturb them. Leave them alone. They've got issues. They don't need more. And more specifically, we will get our asses handed to us. Don't ask me how I know that either. You hope there's more interesting planets than this one. Okay. I'm not gonna... Right, let's... This is the starting planet, and yeah, it's dead. I can't remember. So I'm not going to show you much gameplay, but okay, no, that's in. Because I was thinking maybe I could show you some of the places that are less... not really nothing going on story-wise, and that you have access from the start. I said no gameplay. Well, I'm not playing, I'm just... Right, okay, so this is on Jemison. This is the main planet. It's, the weather's pretty miserable at the moment. I got my boost pack. Okay, so yeah, this is a planet that actually has atmosphere. So there are tons of planets like this.
I never tire of visiting worlds like this.
Right, and then there are like completely dead desert planets. There's a huge gamut of planets. I went to a really snowy one that was way cool. Like this is... I set up a little outpost out here. This is very moon-like, yeah. This is... I kind of like this sort of planet though, oddly. It feels very peaceful. Something really relaxing. Is there a water planet like Subnautica? That I very much doubt, because unfortunately, there's no swimming underwater. I have a feeling that makes it very unlikely. There isn't much reason to go here unless a quest or building. I came here because I wanted resources. I scanned the planet. Same with this one. I scanned this planet and I found it had some resources that I wanted. So I landed and I built some stuff to get resources. I don't really need it. You don't need it at the start. I just did it because I wanted to test the outpost system so I could report back to you guys. You don't really need to do this. So a lot of these planets like this, you're probably going to ignore. You're not going to need to go there. This does not mean you're going to be thinking, oh, there's no bloody planet. I'm bored. I've got nothing to do. There's a ton of planets. There is a ton of planets that have got a load of stuff on it. What did Bessel have on it? So... Sorry. Oh, this was at night. Not a lot going on here as well. Okay. Not that one. Frontier, the Eye, Jameson, Bessel, more. Altair? What was Altair? But no, there are no water planets. I'm sorry. At least I'm going to call it now because there's no... Oh, it is. It's this one. It's night, so you can't see. Something about this gave me, like, vibes from other games. I couldn't put my finger on it. It wasn't Skyrim. But it just had this... It's really nice during the day. It was really nice during the day. Can I wait? I don't actually think so. See, there's your vault-in. It's my slightly modified ship. Yeah. Honestly... Is there a wait function? I don't think there is. There are beds in my ship.
Thanks, Captain.
Should I warm up the engines?
Nope, do not. Don't talk to anyone. Okay, let's local time. Now, one weird thing. is local hours are not the same as universal hours, right? Universal time. So you need to pay attention to this. Local time at the moment is 7 at night, and we want to get to, say, 7 in the morning. So we want about 12 local hours, right? Which is only 4 hours of real time. There are some planets where you can sleep for 3 planetary hours and get a full night's sleep. It's a bit weird. That's the other thing. Excuse me. Maybe another criticism I have of the game is the day-night cycle, I think, is preventing them from having the same sort of believable life cycle for NPCs. Not all of them, but some of them. I did find that the NPCs were always where I left them. Always. Traders were always at their trading post. So it was not quite like Skyrim.
Hello, Captain.
Should have waited a bit longer, shouldn't I? This is one thing where I'm looking at it thinking, I do hope this changes, or it's just the few NPCs I've seen. But honestly, one thing I liked in Skyrim was all of the traders would go to bed for the night. I'm not noticing that here. Now, you can argue that shops could stay up 24 hours, modern society, yada, yada, yada. There should be more than one NPC keeping the shop then.
Hi.
So that's another minor little criticism. The thing is probably if I'd have listed all this, my review would have been like an hour long. But there's a lot of little things. But I think these are the sort of things that people like me obsess over and notice, but might not be important to most people. What I will tell you is it doesn't feel as dead as the Outer Worlds. So in the Outer Worlds, everyone felt like a cardboard cutout waiting to have a conversation with you, yeah? So there you go. You get planets like this, which are really quite beautiful, snowy planets, which I really do like. NPC routines are a big part of Bethesda games. Well, they're a big part of Skyrim and Fallout 4. They were fairly new, though, to those games. But it was a good thing. Now, you notice it as well. All right, here's the thing. This is a problem in most RPGs, right? It is. You get games like Red Dead Redemption 2, you get games like Kingdom Come Deliverance, and yeah, games like Skyrim that have reasonable life cycles for their NPCs. But then you get a ton of games that get absolute rave reviews, best RPGs ever, and they suffered that problem of NPCs just stood in the same place every single bloody time. In fact, didn't The Witcher 3 have that issue to some degree? I don't remember exactly. So, but yeah, the Radiant AI is something I liked in Skyrim, and I'm hoping I've only done shopping in one place, really. Actually, that's not true. But I've not spent enough time on the day-night cycle in other places to be able to really comment on that. But that could be one of those things where I think, you know, they need to do better. Do your footsteps in the snow. Oh. No, you don't. This is one of the things I always play first person. Right, that's it. There of course, we need the mod. We need footsteps mod. That's going to be a thing. Wind sound, but is there wind on the trees? A little, but not much. Oh, you're right. Yeah, they've not done the wind. I wonder if they even have capabilities of doing that. Could be a protected bowl, I guess. But the trees off in the distance are not swaying either. There is no first-person body, so you're going to need a mod for that. I mean, it's, as I said, in many ways, it's very, very Skyrim. Yeah. What about bullet effects when you shoot? Looks like it. Yeah. Particle effects. There are particle effects. So, what's your gaming PC setup? A monster. This is a monster. It is a 4090 Oh. Have I got grenades set up on my control key? Yes, I do. That was unfortunate. Because I'm about to die. Oh, no, I'm not. Right. I need to get rid of that if I ever want to press the control key without destroying something. That needs to be fixed. Probably because I changed something else. Usually it's G for a grenade. Yeah, that's still there. Obviously I changed and added control as a secondary. Right. Yeah, as you can see, GPU is at 99% right now. And that is a 4090. That is a 4090. You bet $50 the first mod on Nexus will be space boobs. No, it won't. It'll be a person's save made to look like some person they like. And that's not truly a mod, I know, but there you go. The next one will be a texture overhaul on something. The next one will be a setting tweak for something. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it's using 14 gigabytes of RAM. CPU's not being overloaded, but I've got a 13900KS. So it's a demanding game, guys. It is a demanding game. There'll be a million reshades, sweet FX. Yep. Fancy boobs on low gravity. There's now a side of me actually really would genuinely... Tell you what, let's just see if I can do this. That was better. There is a side of me thinking I'm genuinely curious about zero-G boob physics. I don't. Music sounds so Fallout, you love it. Yeah, I mean, so anyway, basically, I've still got a lot of things I should probably have mentioned in that video. I may make a follow-up video, or I may just stick this all together and upload it to the main channel so that people can see this side of things. So there are some things where I would like to see some improvements, and there are some key differences between it and Skyrim. Oh, no. I'm thinking Mars. What I want to do is, how long since the embargo was lifted? 3 hours. So I can get as far as, say, 3 hours in. Got to the lodge, didn't I? Got to the lodge within 3 hours. But I tell you what, let's go to Jemison. Can I quickly go through the settings menu? We've already done that. Sorry, Blue Day Dragon. It's okay, but not that impressive. Any schedule for Starfield episodes on YouTube? Well, I've got loads of episodes ready to go. I just don't have a thumbnail yet. Alright, so this is New Atlantis. And this is where what I would like to see are more NPCs. Okay, let me do that without grenades. I'd like to see more crowd density, and my CPU can probably handle it. It depends which core it uses and how many it uses. I reckon we could get 20 or 30% more crowd without getting any frame drops whatsoever. Well, no, that's not true. Obviously, more people, more to render. But the CPU wouldn't start bottlenecking, is what I'm saying. But I would actually quite happily drop frame rate a lot. I'm getting 120 here, 128. I would quite happily double the crowd size. I would. I'd double the crowd size and not miss the frame rate. If you've got a CPU that can handle it, how does the crime system work? I've not tried it, but it does feel a little empty. That is true on this city. There are other places that didn't feel that empty. The Well felt really good. The Mars colony felt really good. And there are some other places. I tell you what. Let's see what the limits are. can I travel from district to district without taking the fast travel? The fast travel system's over there. I do know you can just jump over that wall there. Oh, where does this go? Choose floor. Ooh. The well! Waterfall Promenade. I've not even been to the Waterfall Promenade. Oh, I gotta go there. But I'm not gonna do that now because... Right, so this is the well. And as you can see, the crowds here, it's a lot better. It suits better because basically it's a smaller place, so this feels more reasonable, right? I mean, this is actually more of a crowd than you'd find in a Skyrim city. Frame rate, 138. Again, forgive any stutters or tearing you get, not V-syncing or capping the frame rate. Is there duct tape? There is... Oh, God, I didn't mention that, did I? Should have mentioned that in the video. There is vacuum tape. It's not used in the crafting system. I was saving every bit of it for adhesive, but I couldn't use it as adhesive. And it wasn't until quite late in the game I realized the only way I was going to get adhesive was buying it. I had to buy adhesive. Oh, I don't actually think... I don't think we can get out of here to the next... Right, it looks like it's zoned. I think it's zoned, because I know what's down there. So I think it's zoned. I don't think you can actually just travel from district to district on foot. So this is kind of... Let's go to the mass district. Have I found a sledgehammer? Nope. Isn't there a perk for it? Not that I've seen. I've not seen a perk.
Captain, Constellation will be waiting for you at the lodge.
They will be waiting longer. Oh, rain coming. That's a shame. This place is quite beautiful in the sunlight. How is the crafting system? Alright, I'll mention that in a second. That I hate. See, the game looks phenomenal. Look at this. It needs more people. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Let me just Am I wrong? It needs more people, right? It definitely needs bigger crowds. It's not that there's not a lot of people. Look at that. That is way more people than you would see at any one place in Skyrim. It's just, unfortunately, because this city is so big and so open, the crowd's so very spread out. There might even be like 100, 150 people in this area. But it looks too small. You know what I'm saying? Is it possible the crowd density could be edited in the ini files? Probably. I wasn't going to push it while I was reviewing it so far. Needs umbrellas. Not cyberpunk numbers, but 50% more would be good. I think so. I think there should be either a mod for this, or maybe Bethesda releases a, you know, an update with a setting improvement. Because my system, I think, could handle it. They've probably erred on the conservative side, so as not to have, like, a release filled with people just complaining about breaking everything, right?
We may be in a United Colonies city.
But as you can see over here in the park area, it's quite quiet. I mean, it's supposed to be, but it's way quieter than the main city area. But I would like something else. You do have a flashlight? Oh my god, why isn't it working? Because I took it off. you can unequip the flashlight. I forgot that. Yeah, is there a perk for it? I don't think so. I might be wrong. You do need to engage with perks to unlock different levels of weapon mods, etc. Which is very similar to Fallout 4. But you can't even research certain things without that level as well. Maybe chemistry? Maybe if I get chemistry I can turn things I find into adhesive. That is possible, I suppose. Does the robot have to follow you, or can you leave him at the ship? At this point, he has to follow you. I'm in the scripted tutorial quest phase at this point in the save, and he follows you. But once you enter a building over there, the main quest progresses, And then you have another option for companion. Although, if you ask her to join, she will then be locked with you until you do a certain thing in the main quest. That ends relatively quickly, but you always get a warning. The character will say it. The character will say, oh, I will join you now, but, you know, once I join you, we got to get this thing done. We can't be messing around. So you get all the warnings and everything, so it's not a problem. Let me show you what I meant by... You can't swim. Well, you are swimming. That's the thing. You're swimming. You're locked into swimming on the surface. But when you're actually here, it feels more like... Yeah. Not a lover of that. Also, is the light on? I feel like the light's on. Don't think it is. So yeah, not a fan of that. And of course, it is going to absolutely make the possibility of a water world not happen. Why did they remove swimming? This I do not know. So you're not actually walking on the water. You are swimming in it, but you can't dive. And as you see, is it me? Or do you actually feel in first person? I feel like I'm wading. I know I'm not. But I feel like I am. So, you know, on little mechanical issues like this, I find myself thinking, is there going to be an update? Is there going to be a change? Is there... Okay, why is it not... Why is my flashlight not turning off? Okay, and that's a weird bug. I've had that once before, and I wondered if it was just me randomly clicking on something, but it does seem to be a bug. But it only happens at the start of the game. I'm wondering if it's because I'm locked into a quest. Oh, sorry, no, that was the utility flights. Oh, this is... I thought it was the utility... Flashlight. Flashlight. I think I dropped my flashlight. I get another one later, I don't even notice it. So why do I feel like my flashlight is on? I probably had my flashlight on and I dropped it somewhere or something. Could have found another bug? Possible. Interesting thing of note. You don't need your spacesuit on to have the boost packs. You can use the boost pack without your spacesuit. And it does give you other bonuses. So it's worth keeping on. If you want to do a lot of vertical movement.
Which of you swear to protect and defend the citizens
Which
of the
is
United
tons of
Colonies
fun.
to the best of your
The flashlight on your gun is on? I
and to uphold
don't think I've got one on my gun.
vanguard, honor, loyalty,
No, pretty sure I don't have one. No, that's almost certainly a bug. I think what's probably happened at some point is I've dropped the flashlight after turning it on, and now it's balked the script. So probably should report that one as a bug. There's definitely a light on, absolutely. Small things seem fixable.
Welcome, minion.
Being forced tutorial quest seems like standard Bethesda annoyances. Oh, the forced quest is not that big of a deal. It's really very much like your tutorial. Where I was loading there is pretty much the tutorial phase. Once you wander into that building, it's, you know, the one I was close to in the park, it opens up. And the thing is, it's already open. It's just, I don't... You know what? Now I want to know, could I have left Vasco behind? I might have been able to leave Vasco behind. I never tried. It might have been possible. It's... for science. Am I right? I did notice the ladders are a black loading screen. Okay. What do I think of the gunplay? The gunplay's fine. I didn't try much of the melee, I will admit. I didn't try much of the melee. It seems okay, I guess. I mean, you know, it is... I can't remember what was bash. That was it, right? That's your heavy attack. So it seems okay. I don't think you can do slide attacks. So it's you know, I felt okay. Right. Vasco.
Captain, Protocol Indigo dictates that I am to
Nope.
return
I
to
can't ditch him yet. I can't ditch him until I've done that part of the quest. Which... Oh, you know what? Oh, there it is, yeah.
in this direction.
So you do have to progress the main quest far enough. You have to get to the lodge to be able to ditch him. But that's the point where they say, do you want to work with us, sort of thing, and you can say, no, bugger off, I think. How is the difficulty system? Generic bullet sponge, but not even that bad, actually. Once you get your weapons upgraded, I was, like, totally destroying the spacers. But they've almost got a reason for being bullet sponges, because you've got armored spacesuits on half the time, so, you know. It's not quite power armor, but some of it's built pretty damned heftily, so you might need 2 or 3 shots of the shotgun to kill them. Small arm fires can take a while, though. Like, if you're hitting them with things like this, or you know, I say small arms. I mean, if you're using a shotgun, it's a little better, but yeah, it's a bit bullet spongy. Think Fallout 4, but for some reason it didn't bother me as much. I think it's because I've not really met anyone who didn't have a helmet on. Fallout 4 always bothered me because I'd shoot them in the head 3 or 4 times and they had no helmet on and they'd be fine. That just bugs me. Game's not that difficult, except for the spaceflight combat. There were several fights, spaceflight combat, where I had to drop the difficulty to hard. In fact, in the early ones, until I got an upgraded ship, I think I dropped the difficulty to hard every single time.
Welcome, minion.
And that's a sign something is wrong. And I would actually say, there's a little side of me would... If they had different difficulty sliders for space combat and for normal gameplay, I would probably have the spaceflight one set on normal and the normal gameplay on very hard, just because the spaceflight is just currently not enjoyable. So... They're hard to think of being stealthy wearing a spacesuit. Believe it or not, there are chameleon effects on some spacesuits. So, how much weirdness have I found in the lore? Not weirdness, but a lot of interesting stuff. Think the Outer Worlds style computer messages, but not quite as ridiculous. Not quite as silly. Well, for example, you've got a lot of piloting skills. You've got piloting, target control systems, ballistic weapon systems, engine systems, payloads, shield systems. That's more... Oh, that's about fixing it. No, that's still piloting, I guess. Shipbuilding and starship design. That's not really piloting. This is more like engineering, as is robotics. So, although you've got lots of skills, sometimes they're actually quite related, like boost pack training and a boost assault training are your jetpacks. That's kind of, they're very related. Under science... Oh, but you also have security under tech as well. But like in science, you've got things that will help you with medicine, healing, but you also have your more on the crafting as well. Combat is pretty obvious. Social's got all sorts of weird things. For example, I'm thinking you need to have ship command to get 4 active crew members, which might mean no matter how big a ship I get, I will have to invest into the social tree. So I might end up having to put some social skills. I've not done that so far in the game, but I might need to if I want bigger and better ships with bigger crews. So this music just sounds so Jedi Fallen Order to me. It really does. Are you able to have more than one follower with you? I do not believe so. I have not actually attempted to do so either, so not for sure. I do like the star map. I will say that. I do hate this map though. But I like the planetary thing. It's kind of cool. I love the gravity visuals. So, and you've got, you know, you fly in there, go and have a look at them all. Pick a point, land, etc. So this is all very cool. And there are plenty of things that I'm thoroughly enjoying in this game, but as I've pointed out, there are some niggles. Most of them, the really big ones, I pointed out in the video, but there's more as well. There are little things, but they're all little things that I think can be fixed. But the not being able to swim underwater, that one might require an engine change. At a bare minimum, it might require like a script extender sort of thing. But you have to ask yourself, you have to wonder, if they've not allowed you to dive, have they even bothered adding topography underneath the water? So even if someone does make a mod that lets you swim underwater, is that a good idea? So, the field map seems bad. It is. I'm not in love with the ground map at all. The problem is I have difficulty complaining about it because I can't quite put my finger on it. How is this worse than Skyrim other than it's really boring? It doesn't have any roads, but then the default Skyrim map doesn't have roads. You actually have to add those, don't you, with a mod? I mean, it's more boring, but for some reason I just find it less useful. Could you TFC to see under the water? I could. I don't really want to be doing that during the embargo point. There's something about this. I don't like, for example, how I'm represented on the map. I find I have to zoom in sometimes to actually see what I'm looking at. That's a minor niggle. I'm sure there'll be, you know. Can't even, oh God. Remove that. So, yeah, for some odd reason, just not a fan of the map at all. Really. This part of the map, not a problem. But the local map, and what is worse is the journal itself. Let me just go to the journal. Is so very, you know, Skyrim, Fallout 4. Literally, that's what you get. So you get no directions, no instructions. And again, this is not unique to Bethesda Game Studios. Cyberpunk 2077 was guilty of this. A lot of games are guilty of this. They don't give you good directions to a place. They don't write anything in your journal other than go to the place where the giant blue dot is floating on your heads-up display. And of course, I turn the giant blue dot on my display off. So this is one of those things that's just me, old man gamer, raging about new gamer stuff. So, no details. On the Skyrim map, you could tell where you were looking at. You could, but actually, I think most of us are probably thinking of using a map mod. In the actual original Skyrim, with its default map, you could tell, but it wasn't that much better. And yet, somehow, it was better, wasn't it? Somehow it was better. And it's definitely better around cities and things. I mean, the map on the cities, the local map, is completely pointless to my mind. Same is true if you're in a cavern. In fact, I don't think there is a local map. Now, you can argue that that's perfectly realistic, and that is fine. But honestly, I spend a lot of time doing this. You can see we've got clairvoyance, right? Wants me to go this way. But I prefer to do this than have a giant blue dot, because if I had the quest markers, there'd be a blue dot there. At least I get some sort of, you know, control over it so it goes. Yeah. You love the arthropods. The creatures you meet are weird and fine, but again, for some odd reason, what I will tell you about this game is I'm less interested in wandering around and discovering new biomes and new places, even though I know I should be, and I'm more interested in discovering new cities and new people to talk to, because actually that's what I've been impressed with, the step forward in those areas. It's not like a major improvement in dialogue, but there's more of it. It's slightly more interesting. It's slightly better delivered. They mix it in slightly neater and slightly more believable. There are slightly more just fluff lines, lines that don't really mean anything, on characters who don't have a quest for you but are just there to chit-chat. There's more just general dialogue going on, and I like it. I really do like it. Even if it serves no purpose. So this is the sort of thing I'm hoping they then translate to Elder Scrolls 6. Because, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying this game, I am thoroughly enjoying this game. But not to the level I'm expecting to enjoy the Elder Scrolls 6, right? I mean, that's partly the genre, though. That is partly the genre. So a lot of the things I'm looking at in this game, I'm looking at with an eye for what direction is Bethesda Game Studios heading. And I think what's given me hope and happiness is a lot of the things they've gone back to are the things I wanted them to go back to. Some of the things they've kept, like the crafting system from Fallout 4, they've kind of improved on that in a weird way. They've made it slightly more difficult because it's slightly harder to get the resources. And for example, here's one that you might hate. I might hate this actually. If you take a mod off a weapon by replacing it with a weaker one, you don't get to keep the better mod. So you are going to have to invest in the skill if you want the really good mods on your favourite weapon. If you find a weapon that's got a really good mod on it, you can use the weapon with a really good mod on it, but you won't be able to take it off. I'm expecting that to be a mod. I'm expecting someone to make a mod that will basically replicate Fallout 4 for that, because I would kind of like that. But what I have also found is, because of the requirements, I'm spending more time trying different weapons and looking at them because they've got really good mods and I want to try it, than just getting one favourite weapon very early on and then just trying to mod the crap out of it. So I'm having fun experimenting with the weapons. The weapons are tons of fun. There's a lot of variety, sort of, at least visually. As for how effective they are, I'm not even totally sure that's true. There's electromagnetic weapons that stun people. I have not successfully managed to field test one yet. I am going to try. So that could be a good thing. Incapacitating people without killing them. So I do need to test that one out. But just like, I love the look of them, or the sound of them, or the feel of them, or the way they work. So I'm enjoying combat. I know I'm going to mod the HUD colour to blue as soon as I get my hand on the files. Yeah, I don't think you can change the colour at the moment. I'm guessing there is some INI file. I will tell you the file structure's a little weird for me. And I think they've changed the archive folder, either structure or format or encoding. Yes, I've been playing around underneath the HUD to see what could be done. There is a console. So, you know, you still got that if you're on PC. Am I allowed to show the Starfield folder? There was no... I don't know. There's nothing in the review embargo writing that says I'm not allowed to. It gives me a list of things I'm not allowed to discuss, but they're all endgame stuff that I've not discovered. So that's not a problem. You know what? If it's okay with you, I just want to wait until at least... Is it in 6 hours or something, or 4 hours? You guys all get access to it if you've got the early version. I'm going to buy that anyway. I want the Steam version. I want the Steam version because they gave me a review code for the Microsoft version, which is why I'm a little weirded out by it. It's 4 hours. I'm going to wait 4 hours. In 4 hours, I can do what I like with it, I guess. But I'm going to buy the Steam version. What I can tell you is at the moment, I'm having a little difficulty tracking down all the sort of files we're going to need to see. That could be because I've got an encrypted, restricted build or something, right? That might all change in 4 hours, or it might be different on the Windows version. So I'm going to guess most of the people here are going to order it from Steam, right? That is what I would suggest. I mean, thanks very much, Bethesda and Xbox, for sending me a code and everything, but I'm going to suggest Steam if you intend to mod the game, if you're going to buy it. Of course, if you have Game Pass, you can just install this on the 6th of September and play it, right? That's what I would actually recommend doing. It's going to be a while before there's really important mods, I think. Unless you see... Look, if a few days' time we get a DLSS mod and you think, no, I want that, I'm going to go buy the Steam version, fine, do it. What I will do is I will... What I need to do is first of all, identify where the save games are. Because I've not even been able to do that at the moment. I need to identify where the save games are, make a backup of them, and then I'm going to install the Steam version of the game, and I'm not going to do it until I've got a backup of the saves, and see if it can access the saves. And then I'm going to transfer over, so that I can start seeing the differences between them. But what I would recommend is if you've got Game Pass, just bloody well play it on Game Pass, until you think to yourself, yeah, I like this. And I'm going to mod the crap out of it. If you don't have it on Game Pass and you want to play it early, I would highly recommend the Steam version anyway. It's going to be the one that's the most moddable, because that's, you know, that's how it's going to be. I will tell you, is there not a standard Bethesda save location? No, I can't find it. There are some other things that are weird about the data structure for Xbox games as well. And I think Xbox, Microsoft, the launcher, I sort of comment from someone, it visualizes the data folder in a slightly different way. Because, and in a way it's a good way, but like for example, I noticed the DLC in a different folder to, not DLC, I've got like one of the early packs, the Constellation pack, in a different folder to the main one, except it stopped working. It stopped working after a day, and I had to copy the files from that one folder into the games folder itself, so not sure what happened. I managed to fix it, but I imagine there may be some people who were reviewing this, and then halfway through their review, they lost the Constellation pack. Not that it matters, it's some skins that I've not used. Won't the mods that do big stuff need a script extender that won't be out for a while anyway, and that's what you can't do on the Xbox Store versions of the game? I would say there is a distinct possibility that is in fact the case. We don't know if that is going to be the case for sure. You know, I mean, Bethesda are now owned by Xbox. There is a chance that they will want to get that side of things working. That's what I'm thinking. You're wondering if the script extender people got early access as well. I've lost contact with them. I don't have the inside scoop anymore. Sorry, guys. But I'm going to guess no. And the reason I'm going to guess no is I do know some other people who are not influencers but are pretty prominent in the modding community who did not get review copies. In fact, I know a lot of people got these, but I think it seems to be people who are reasonably known as being part of the sort of the streamer, YouTuber of Bethesda Game Studios type games. So, did I get a collector's edition? I don't know. I think so. I have a feeling they quite deliberately did not send it to some of the people you might want, and myself, as part of the modding community, might want to have access to the game early on, so that day one, you know, all the mod managers and tools have been adapted, right? As far as I know, none have been sent to them. So, probably they don't want people like me, because I am a YouTuber, but I am also a mod maker. They don't want people like me scratching under the hood at this phase. And I can't say I blame them. They want people to evaluate the game as it is right now, and they don't want a ton of footage coming out from YouTubers like myself saying, look at this bug, and it turns out it's because I've done something stupid. So mods are more of a later thing for BGS. It is. That's when they officially start supporting it. But there will be mods day one. It's just you're waiting for the people who need to make the tools and do the thing to get the games themselves. So you're following the XSE server right now, and there's not much talk. What about on the Nexus Mods Discord? Day one patch can be expected on the 6th, I presume. I'm going to guess there's a day one patch on later today. During my play, there was a 13.4 or 13.8 gigabyte patch while I was playing. So my guess is they're still working on the bugs. As I've said, though, surprisingly stable and bug-free game. Yeah, we've seen a few minor little janks, but not that much, really. Not that much. I feel horrible saying this for a BGS game, like, no. But let's be honest. Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Oblivion, all their previous games, we love them. But we have a laugh at them as well. They're a giggle a minute at times, and that's fine. I don't mind it. This is why I don't get mad when people talk about Bugthesda and they tell me off. They say it's people like you the reason we have bad games. You accept too much. And you know why I accept it? Because I'm having fun. As long as I'm having fun, I don't care. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's a point at which the problems start ruining the fun, and at that point I'll start bitching about it, because the entire point of a game is to have fun, and if it's getting in the way of it, yeah. So, you know. If there's no jank, you're disappointed. Overall, I'm happy, but I am going to try and do a follow-up video, or I'm just going to take this entire video and upload it to the main channel and let people wade through it. And then maybe do a follow-up in a few weeks, because I'm knackered at the moment. I need to get my system rebuilt. And I need some sleep. I've been stressed about this. I will admit it. I'm not one of nature's natural reviewers. I'm not very good at it. And I was wandering around, worried that I wasn't going to see certain aspects of it. I'm still panicked because I haven't seen so many aspects of the game. And I feel like I didn't cover this, that, and the other, and I've missed certain things, and I forgot to mention that and the other. So I'm going to go to bed stressed anyway. But God, I need some sleep. I do. Totally. Before I do, how did the core run with the E-cores on your... give me a second. Does it show E-cores on this? Is it showing my E-cores? Right, this thing's got... How many things... what's this got? This thing's got... Is it 12 primaries and 12 E-cores? And the primaries can be doubled, so I can't remember. How many have I got? My God, I don't even know my system. You said you were finishing. I am. 4 primary and 16 E. Right, well, I'm guessing those are a bunch of E-cores then. And they all seem to be wandering around the sort of like 25% mark by the looks of things. The primaries are pulling most of the job, but... I think that's the 4 gigahertz ones. Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. They're currently pretty low. Is it possible to skip storyline altogether like in NMS and just explore on your own? Yes, I think so. I would recommend doing the main quest until the point where you ditch him. And it's not far. You basically do a quest down there, you land on a planet, you have a conversation, and then you can ditch him and do what you want. And at that point, yes, you can No Man's Sky this. Not really, though, because it's not No Man's Sky. Just to understand, you can't fly around... you're not flying around the universe. I get in the ship. I hit a button to lift off. I then open the star map. I pick a location, you know, and I go there and I say, Okay, let's land here. Now, it won't let me do this at the moment. Yeah, it's not going to let me do this because I'm a scripted quest. But I could click here and I could just go visit it. But you'll see a flying animation and then maybe a landing animation. Or you can take off, go to the planet itself, and then pick a landing point and land, etc. But you're not flying the vast expanses of space. You're not landing manually or taking off manually. And if you want to move to a different area on this planet, you basically get in your ship and you go up, you pick a new spot, and you go there. So it's not No Man's Sky in it. But you could just dot around the planet, going from place to place to place, and completely strip mine and kill everything you find all over the planet and do nothing but that. Do nothing but explore. You go out to the star map. You could go along to this planet, this system, visit it, then go to another one, and then unlock these and start just traveling and traveling. And you could probably just get endlessly lost. I've not done that yet, but you probably can. So, but honestly, I don't think it's that sort of game. I think if you want a No Man's Sky, No Man's Sky. If you want to Elite Dangerous, Elite Dangerous. This is Skyrim, only in space. Think more like, not really Mass Effect, but the Outer Worlds, but on a whole different scale. A whole different scale with a lot more freedom. I mean, you have a lot larger sandbox. As restrictive as it is, and it does look like it's restrictive. It looks like the map. It looks like the map gives us a limit of about 3 kilometers from where you land the ship. Which probably means we've got, what, like a 6 by 6 kilometers. So you got a 36 square kilometer map to play in before you have to take your ship and fly somewhere else. So it's still quite a large area. And of course, there's way more planets and systems and moons than in the Outer Worlds. So think the Outer Worlds, but on a whole different scale, right? That's more like it. There are, in some bizarre ways, it's probably more akin to the Outer Worlds than Skyrim in that respect. So, you think it's a weird choice to have your ship that's slow so you can't travel inside a solar system. I'm guessing it's just they didn't want to spend time on the mechanics. I can imagine either a DLC or a spaceflight overhaul. I can imagine that. I wonder if the system is in place for interplanetary flight. Interstellar flight's not going to be a thing because that's just not a thing, right? I mean, interstellar flight would take. You're going to be grav jumping basically, but interplanetary flight. I mean, you'd probably need faster engines than you've got. Maybe not that much, I don't know. It could take several hours to fly across. I don't know. So, I've found any cheese? I think so, actually. For comparison, the Skyrim map was 14 kilometers square map. This intro planet map is 36. Yeah, I mean, if you think of it this way, this little area of this planet is bigger than Skyrim. But let's face it, Skyrim is chock full of lots of little interesting things. This is a rocky, barren planet. And even on planets that are lush and interesting to explore, everything's very spread out. You are in space, you're gonna have to get used to the idea that this is not quite the same game as Skyrim. The first DLC is already revealed as Shattered Space Story. Could include a space update. Hey, you know what? I don't mind that. I think what I would say, if I could change the review now, what I would probably say is the game they have created is solid. There are no major problems other than I hate the space flight and the space combat. But it's a solid base. If they make expansions and actually expand upon some of the gameplay elements, they could do it, and, you know, it would just make the game better. this is to me a successful launch, or it will be when it actually happens, I think. The game is very playable, very enjoyable, very stable, quite polished, and fun. And in the end, that's really what it has to be. And the reason I'm happier about this than, say, Fallout 4 is even though I've been playing for, say, 45 hours and then a little bit that I've been messing around here, I've already got 3 or 4 other playthroughs I want to do, and I know I've not even discovered 90% of the places for this playthrough. Whereas in Fallout 4,
Welcome, minion.
I didn't feel like there were other playthroughs, even that early on. So this has gone in the right direction. So no, I'm gonna end this. I am gonna end this. I am curious. Let me just see if I can render rig. Wait, look at this. A question. I'm thinking this for a thumbnail. Like actually having the character in the shot, like is it going to be more easily identifiable, more interesting? I'm basically told you should have like faces in all your thumbnails. So I'm sort of wondering. Otherwise, it's like this. I'm shrinking it so you can see how it might seem on your phone. You know what I'm saying? I like that picture. I think I'm just going to have one picture, at least for the start, for the Let's Play. And I haven't decided what colour border I want it to be. Although white kind of works. But it's Starfield. I feel like it should be a mixture of either orange or blue. Can't even see what you're saying. You like the character, add the guy, put the guy back in. All right, so yeah, Quadico said the same thing. All right, I will get that in. I will get that. Once I'm happy with the... There's no place for the number. I'll have to put the number. I'll have to put the episode number on the title. Because there's no room for it without getting messy. So I'm going to have to do something like... Oh, God. One thing I hate. That'd be something like that. But I guess that works. I could do #1, but... Whatever. This is not the content you came to see. And that's me editing a Let's Play. More place at top. Maybe. I'll see. Do you like the new Steve with the helmet? Do you like the new Steve with the helmet? The artist that did the Fallout Boy style stuff for the charity stream did that for me. I think it's absolutely brilliant. We need a helmet modded into the game now. Yes! There's going to be tons of stuff like that. There is going to be tons of stuff like that, that's for sure. Steve in space coffee mug. Oh, yeah. This is exactly the sort of content you were here for. Okay, well, thank you. Yeah. I'm going to ask her very, very nicely to make more for me. Oh, God, I'm so tired. I am so tired. You're curious about the magic combat, but I'm guessing that's a spoiler. Oh, that would be a spoiler. And I've got no idea. I am not remotely. I have not really visited anywhere. I'm 45 hours in. Granted, 10 hours of it was probably spent on the outpost system because I really did want to understand how it worked before I did the review, even though I wasn't really wanting to use it. I probably should not have done that because it was probably a waste of time, but I did actually want to be able to tell people whether or not the settlement system, which it kind of is is going to be similar to Fallout 4. It is absolutely not. Not remotely the same system at all. You're probably going to ignore that till endgame, I think. I think you're going to ignore that till endgame, and then that's going to be more for when you're at the phase where I want to explore around everywhere, and I just want to set up bases and get resource supply lines going, etc. The actual building itself is relatively straightforward and easy as long as you've got the resources. Getting the resources seems to be the difficult part at the start of the game. Hence the reason I think it's going to be end game stuff, which makes sense. You know, it makes sense. It gives you some other reason to do that sort of thing. So I will try my best to get the first episode out ASAP, but I can't promise anything, guys, because I'm seeing double. I will try to make a follow-up video because I do feel like I didn't mention everything, and you guys asked questions that poked my memory or, you know, made me think, oh God, I should have mentioned that. But in the meantime, I might just quickly edit this together, or not even edit it, just upload it en masse to the YouTube channel so that people can at least listen to me ramble if they really want the extra details. So, yes. And I must absolutely remember to make sure I turn VSync and frame capping back on before I start recording. I'm going to do that now before I go to bed because, believe it or not, if I forget that, well, the viewable experience for people watching my videos will be terrible, and that would break my heart. Genuinely, that would bother me, believe it or not. So, yes. Anyway, I'm going to be back on Sunday, hopefully, actually playing some game this time after having some sleep. However, I warn you now, Friday night or Saturday morning, I'm switching my render rig off because it's in need of a reboot, and I think it's going to die. At that point, I have to reinstall Windows. I may not be ready to do even a stream on Sunday. There's a distinct chance I might not be ready for a stream come Tuesday or Thursday if that happens. It could take me a while to get this back up and running. So bear that in mind. I will be able to tweet and send a message, and I will absolutely be able to upload videos. I think. Yes, I will. I've got all of the videos that need uploading on a USB, on an external hard drive. So I can do. So there will be videos. And now I realize I am babbling like a sleep-deprived maniac, probably because I am currently a sleep-deprived maniac. So, good night.